as we speak. It's also available on Apple, Spotify, and you can watch this on YouTube. That's right. I'm recording it on playback.tv/Garage Guys, where we have been watching the race on there so that I can just quickly and seamlessly put it there. So if you want to watch on YouTube, I'll have some stuff in the background. But it has been a long night for me. It is late at night right now. I had to wait to try to get the most juice that I could squeeze out of the books. I have surfed Caesars. I have surfed DraftKings. I've surfed Bet Rivers. I've surfed Fanduel. I've surfed Bet MGM. All of them, literally. PointsBet, I think, is the only book that has not got odds up yet for the NASCAR Cup Series Xfinity 500. So we'll let it be. But I do have some new bets that I want to discuss. I'm going to discuss some of the bets that I've already made. And, of course, if you were following me on Action Network, you will have already saw those. We discussed them on Wednesday's edition of the Garage Guys NASCAR podcast. Had Kenny Wallace on with me. It was a great show. I was hesitant to bet on Martin Truex Jr. I'm not going to lie. I've been fading him constantly. He was 10-1 at the time. I said, you know what? I got to pull the trigger here. Martinsville, Martin, same guy. And he showed up. He showed up and showed out in qualifying. And I can't be upset at all, because now the best odds that you're going to find on old Martin Truex Jr. to win this race on Sunday is plus 425 on Caesars. It's a nice drop off. I won with him at Sonoma, and I have a feeling that we're going to win with him again at Martinsville. So I hope that you were able to hop on that 10-1 earlier in the week over on Bet Rivers. I also plugged in Ryan Blaney 13-1 early in the week on Caesars. The best odds you're going to find on him right now is plus 850, and that is going to be on Bet Rivers. Another guy that I cannot be upset about today, okay? Look, he maybe didn't have the best times. He's starting P11, but I still feel good about it, because I know Ryan is going to put himself in a position, the best position possible, to make it to Phoenix. He is the other driver I would love to see go. And look, there's a lot of guys that I want to see make it. I got a lot of the dogs, all right? Red Dog, for one. All right, he's starting P19. He's got a fast car. His lap averages look solid. You know, he's 12-1 right now. I think that's the best odds you can find on him, or 13-1 on Bet Rivers. All right, so he's got odds in that area, and I'm still just kind of like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can pull the trigger, especially after the spin. You know, I want to see him go, but, you know, hey, there's more to come in the future. Chris Buescher, another one. Denny Hamlin. I mean, this is a tough crowd to break through, so I really had to do work to make sure I was separating emotion from these bets to make sure that we had the best possible chance of winning. Like I said, Blaney was one that I took early in the week as well, and that mainly just because of the determination. And I don't think P11 is that bad of a spot. The Ford's program has been decent here in the past, but nonetheless, at 13-1, I can't complain. At 850 right now, you know, I'm right on the border of suggesting that to be a bet for you to grab. One now, but I'm happy with my price. So hopefully, like I said, just with Martin Truex Jr. as well, hopefully you got Blaney as well. 13-1 on Caesars early in the week. And then my lock My lock that I had, Buescher, top 10, plus 125. I had 2 units on that, all right, at plus 125. He's now plus 160 on Caesars Sportsbook. So if you didn't hop on the Buescher top 10, I want to say his starting position, things feel maybe a little dismal for our guy Chris Buescher. He's starting P18 tomorrow. But listen, plus 160, Martinsville's a tough track. I really like to stay inside the top 10 at this track if I can, but there are certain drivers that you got to make exceptions for. You got to believe that Chris Buescher, RFK, is going to be doing everything that they can to get that car as close to the front as possible. And that's kind of what I'm still going to bank on here. I still think plus 160 is decent there for a top 10. But some of these new bets that I'm going to be talking about that I am going to be adding to Action Network, while also diving through what we know now and some of the data that we had from practice and qualifying. But I'm going to break down a top 10 bet that I have that's brand new. I'm adding another outright to the arsenal, and I have a matchup bet as well to discuss, along with just the basics of what to expect in this race. Let's kick this off looking at our lineup. And as I get that screen pulled up right now, just want to remind you guys again, if you don't, check out Action Network. You can see here, right here, this is the profile that I have. You can go and follow me there. You'll get all my picks for literally everything. Hopefully you didn't bet on Jordan Montgomery to get 5 strikeouts tonight, because good God almighty, he got 0 strikeouts. It was pretty terrible. World Series is going on. I don't care who wins. I like both teams equally. Can't lie. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to discuss what matters right now, and what matters is the Xfinity 500. We got to get the NAS bags. So I just pulled up this screen here. This is our lineup. Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs starting P2, Chase Briscoe in P3, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, P5, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Preece, and Brad Keselowski in P10. So that is your top 10 that are going to be running this race. And when you look at what statistics has shown us over the years at Martinsville, in the Commonwealth of Martinsville, the village, the town, whatever you want to call it, they got a restaurant, like a fast food restaurant, and a gas station, and then there's just a racetrack there. It's pretty insane. It's pretty incredible. I love Martinsville. It's a vibe like no other there. Cannot lie about that at all. But I want to just show you guys really quickly, if you're watching along here on YouTube, just some data of what we have had in the past when it comes to starting position and wins and percentages. So I'm going to share this screen with us now, and this is NASCAR Cup Series wins by starting position. This is dating back long ago. I mean, this is the stat of stats. This is from the archive. So if you're starting in first place at Martinsville, you got a 14.09% chance of winning this race based off of every race that we have had in the past. Okay. Your next highest percentage that you're going to have is P3, and that's where Chase Briscoe is going to be starting with 17 wins, 11.41% win rate from P3. So Chase Briscoe, I think he's flirting around 22-1. You should be able to grab around 22-1 on Caesars Sportsbook if you want to go in that direction. If you want to back the stats and trust that, that's the way that you want to lean and look at, is going to be for a Briscoe. But what really interests me, right, is that we're always told top 10. That's what we have to pay attention to here in Martinsville. It's not impossible for a driver outside of the top 10 to get a win here, okay? Now, as you can see here for like Ryan Blaney, for myself, having him starting in P11, 2 wins, a 1.34% win rate there. So if you're a stat backer, which I am not at all 100% a stat backer, I would say you probably want to refrain from Ryan Blaney. Me personally, I believe in the laws of momentum. I believe in a lot of other things that help me to figure out who I'm going to put my money on a race day. But going back further, when we start to really like just dip back into, past P12, P14 is pretty interesting to me because that is a 4.03% win rate. Now, I know that Kyle Larson won from P19 earlier in the year, but for this race, this fall race specifically, P14, that's interesting. Well, hey, Chase, who's starting in P14 in this race? It's Chase Elliott. That's right, Chase Elliott, winless Chase Elliott. I've heard a lot of people talking this week about, somebody that's not in the playoffs is going to win this race. I'm telling you, now's the time it's going to happen. If you're a believer in that, if you think Chase Elliott has what it takes to win starting from P14, the highest percentage rate back past top 10, if you're going between 10 and 20, that's your highest percent if you're back in the stats. 35-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Okay? 35-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And then we're going to go look over here. It's 35-1 on Fanduel, and I'm trying to see if we have much difference looking at Chase Elliott. He is 30-1 on Bet Rivers, so I can only imagine Caesars is probably going to be somewhere around there. And I didn't even look at Chase Elliott when I first started this conversation until I started talking to you about between 10 and 20. So this is news to me as well, but 35-1 is going to be the best odds you're going to find on him at this moment. And just one quick check for BetMGM. Yeah, 25-1 on BetMGM. So literally the lowest right now is BetMGM. I would recommend, if you're going to bet on Chase Elliott, backing those stats, with the highest percent between 10 and 20 by starting position, 35-1, FanDuel, DraftKings. That's where you want to dabble. And I'm not going to lie, really looking at that and thinking about that, I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger on a win there for Chase Elliott in a situation where we know that William Byron needs one. Also, because of the year he's had, I feel like Chase Elliott is more susceptible to be a team player here. Everybody wants to win at the end of the day, and I get that. But at the same time, it's one of those what if beautiful moments, right? It's one of those moments where you're like, man, this would be nice, this would be great, but you just really don't know if you can back it. However, there is a bet with Chase Elliott that I do like. And maybe it goes a little bit against the grain with the stats, but that's why you ride with Garage Guy. That's why you listen to Garage Guy Chase, because he doesn't always trust the stats. There's a full moon out on Saturday night. I don't know if you knew that or not. There's a full moon out, and I'm itching to have a good time. I was over on Caesars Sportsbook, and I said, you know what? I've been doing some matchups here and there. I really like matchup bets. My first bet of this show, my first new bet that I'm giving to you right now that I feel is going to be successful. Chase Elliott to finish ahead of Kyle Busch, minus 105, Caesars Sportsbook, 2.05 units to win 2 units. I'll be logging that one on Action Network. That is a bet that I love. Let me tell you why I love that. I've seen Chase Elliott do great things. I've seen Kyle Busch do great things in the past. This all comes down to the fact that, yes, Kyle Busch has a quick car. That's fine. Chase Elliott, maybe not the quickest car. But do I trust Chase Elliott starting in P14 over Kyle Busch starting in 31st? Yeah. A lot can happen at Martinsville starting that far in the rear, regardless of how much speed you have. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take excellent pit execution for somebody to get to the front at a track like this. I feel like this is a no-brainer. I'm all in on Elliott over Busch. Again, minus 105 Caesars Sportsbook. And really, when you look at Kyle Busch and what he's been able to do at Martinsville over the years, he finished 21st here earlier in the year, his debut with RCR at this track. And then even going back into the Joe Gibbs racing era, I'm not going to dig too deep into the Gen 6 era. But, he had a really solid run at Martinsville. His last win came here in 2016, and that was the spring race at Martinsville. But he had a really good run where he was just right up inside that. He lived in the top 5 between 2016 and 2019. And then we started to see some fall off. But in the Gen 7 era, he finished 7th here in the spring, 29th last year, October 30th, 2022. What I just see is that he is better for some reason in the spring than he is in the fall. And with this starting position, I've got to take Elliott over him. I can't bring myself to believe that we're going to see, because if that happens, I feel like you might as well go ahead and bet on him to win. We had a discussion on the NASBets Live that I did about this over on playback.tv/garage guys, and our good pal Matt Dumpster that calls into the report, that watches, that he's there. He's a good guy. He was asking about Kyle Busch, and I was like, no. Let's not do this. Now, the lap averages look great. If we were at an intermediate track, I'd say, why not? This is not that. So, finally, last time I'm going to say it. Elliott over Busch, -105. Caesars, roll with it. Moving forward, though, going back to the positional stuff, I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's really cool, to be able to have this data, to look at this, to see what we have. Also, you can see the active NASCAR Cup Series organizations with wins at Martinsville, Hendrick Motorsports dominating the scene. 28 wins, ranked first. Joe Gibbs second, 14. It's more than likely going to be one of those two guys. Team Penske is right there with 9 wins, ranked third. So if I'm going to be throwing my money at anything, I feel satisfied that it is mainly built around these 3 top dog teams at this track. So had to run that by. But going into that a little bit more with Hendrick Motorsports, a lot of people were looking at William Byron. They were looking to William Byron. And look, I'm one of them. I'm not going to lie to you. Earlier in the week, I was all about some Willie B. I was like, man, it would be dope to have some Willie B in the arsenal. But, it just, the lap averages look decent. It just seems like maybe he didn't come to play. Maybe he didn't prepare as well as he should. Maybe Rudy Fugle ate a bit too many burritos. And I think there was a quote that came out where William was like blaming the team and blaming everyone else, saying it's their fault. Like, man's just out here on a mission, saying what he feels, saying what he thinks. I can't blame him for that. There may be consequences to that. That's besides the point. He is expressing. He's expressing. You got to tip the hat at that. If you're expressing your emotions, that's good. That's been a big conversation over the last couple of weeks in NASCAR, and I think the drivers need to continue to do that, and they need to go deeper into that. Let's see how deep the expression can get. Let's see how real the personality can become in NASCAR, because that's what is going to help take NASCAR to the heights that we want to see it reach. So I am right now getting these lap averages pulled up. So here we go. I'm looking at a 20 lap average here. And, obviously you can see Kyle Busch, some of the best times on the track. That's great. Tyler Reddick right there as well. It's just, I can't just trust fast car at a track like Martinsville. Too much is in the way. Here's one right here. That's crazy. Corey LaJoie. Not much fall off at all after you get to that 15 lap average mark for him. Spire just cooking. They trying to cook something. And that leads me to my dart throw. My dart throw bet of the week has to be Corey LaJoie, top 10, 11-1 on Caesars right now. Over on Mr. William Hill's book, Caesars, 11-1, doing half a unit on that to win 5.5 units. I think that we are really in for a treat, because we have yet to see Corey LaJoie finish out strong. And we have also yet to see Corey LaJoie put up some stuff like this. I mean, we have seen him have a really close finish to a win at Atlanta. But if we could see Corey LaJoie come out at Martinsville and shave a top 10 off at the least, I mean, signs are pointing to big things popping, especially with Carson Hocevar coming to the fold next year. So I'm throwing a dart at it. I'm going to throw a motherfucking dart, and I'm going to say that Corey LaJoie could get a top 10 enough to where I'm willing to throw half a unit on it. I'm here on playback.tv/garage guys. It's fucking late or early, whatever you want to call it. Kurt Hart Jr. just enters the chat. Says, God, you are sexy. You are too, Kurt Hart Jr., the official doorman of playback.tv/garage guys. This is on a podcast. This is on YouTube, and it's on playback.tv/garage guys. So for the people that find it and that come in to this right now at this time, live, you're here live. So just wanted to throw that out. It's a beautiful thing. You're listening to the podcast right now if you're here live. It's great. It's going up very soon. But let's get back to the bets. So I've given you 2 bets already. I've given you a dart throw. I've given you something comparable to a lock. Now, I want to just take a moment here to go back to the William Byron deal. We were talking about Willie B. I don't know if William Byron is going to be capable of getting a win here. His odds for me at 12-1, it's not so bad, but it really just leans more into the fact that I'm just going to have to say that I'm staying strict and true to the top 10, but I'm going to dip out one spot because of Blaney. I don't think that one spot at all outside of a top 10 is that much. Okay, I don't think that that's that big of a deal. We'll give a little handicap room. I'm going to handicap to 11, and that's how I can lump Ryan Blaney in. But William Byron, he is going to be rolling out here, and he is going to be starting in P16. Now, he's got Chase Elliott in front of him. Kyle Larson's in front of him in P5. I'm sure there's going to be some people betting on him. I'm not touching Kyle Larson this weekend. I'm not going to look to really touch Chase Elliott either. I don't think as far as an outright goes, but I do like the matchup that I gave out. You know, with Willie, he's got to do something. And if he doesn't get the help that he needs early on, I mean, it could be a real shit show. It could be a rough time. Rudy Fugle could be living at the Izzo's burrito for the rest of the damn year. I don't know how I feel anymore at all about it, and I'm honestly going to stay away from it. If you like Willie B, you want to back it, you want to be confident, that's great. Go for it. I'm going to refrain from that this weekend, and I'm going to stick to the outrights that I have pending this other outright that I will get to in a second. But throwing that there, going on the flip side of that, right? Kyle Larson's locked in, just kind of diving through the Hendrick guys. And Christopher Bell locked himself in. He's 12-1. He was 17-1 before practice and qualifying. Didn't have the best qualifying or practice data out of all the drivers by any means. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the best. But I'm just not worried about touching on those guys this week because I do feel like it's just like it's a whatever. It's a free-for-all. If you do want to bet on Kyle Larson, plus 750, there's some pretty good odds that I've found for him. I think that's going to be about the best odds, plus 800 on Bet Rivers right now. And then also, so plus 800, I think, is the best that you're going to find for him on Bet Rivers if you want to bet Kyle Larson. If you just think it's domination station time, go for it. But I also feel like if I was going to bet on a guy that was locked in, it wouldn't be Chris Bell this time around. A back-to-back win is great. It's fairy tale. But I would just rather save my money around 12-1 and maybe go a little bit longer. I trust what I have already with Martin and with Blaney. And I guess that only leaves one guy that I haven't talked about yet, that I haven't really discussed, that has been a favorite literally all week long, Denny Hamlin. Somehow, Denny Hamlin got to like plus 250 before practice and qualifying on certain books. Right now, I think the longest odds that you're going to find on him are over on Bet Rivers. He is plus 400 on Bet Rivers right now. If you want to lock that bet in, if you like Denny, you think Denny's going to get the win here, that's what I would be doing, is going right to Bet Rivers to lock that one down. Now, Denny is going to be starting P4. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think inside of the top 5, great. Inside of the top 10, great. It's kind of just the same play out, especially for me. I'm going to go off of what I know and what I've trusted when it comes to these playoff races at Martinsville. That top 10 is going to be your safe area. So I'm not personally betting on Denny. I hope he can find a way to etch out a good finish. The only way I think that's going to happen is if it's really just coming down at this point to between him and William Byron. William Byron's going to have something like a catastrophe happen. Essentially, he's going to have a really bad finish here. He's up by 30. So I don't even know. It is a little bit late. My brain is not up for doing some math right now, but I'll say this much. It's going to take a lot to make Willie B get out of this, which does make you have to make the tough choice. Who is going? And at this point, I've got my sights set high on Martin Truex Jr. winning, therefore locking himself in. And I still feel just as good about Ryan Blaney maybe getting in on points, or flip it around and it's Truex finding a way to point his way in with a really good finish and some stage points with Ryan Blaney. So that's really where I'm at right now, guys. If I had to lock in my final 4, my championship 4, this is my final stack. And I told you guys I would give you this. My final stack: Kyle Larson, Chris Bell, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney. That is your championship 4. That is what I have decided upon officially. We'll see how it shakes out tomorrow, but that's where I'm at. Now, I want to talk about what I was speaking on earlier when I brought up Chase Elliott and some people talking about a driver that's not in the playoffs that could win this race. There's only one driver that I thought about in this situation. I'll be real. Now, I did a scenario over on X. I made a post earlier talking about Tyler Reddick. Kyle Larson started 19th or earlier this year in the spring, and he was able to finish first. Tyler Reddick starts P19. This isn't the spring. This is the fall. Circumstances are vastly different. That was just something fun I put out. I'm not going to bet on Red Dog this weekend. However, I will look inside that top 10. And there's one driver there that I see that hasn't gotten a win all year, and it's a big year for him. And I think for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to bet on this guy regardless, because honestly, I might never be able to bet on him again. And so regardless of if we win or we lose, it's out of respect for Mr. Kevin motherfucking Harvick. He's retiring. He's in a retirement year. He's starting P8 at this race. The lap averages, they're no true Rico Suave by any means. They're not the sexiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But what I can tell you is that when you look into 20, when you look into 25 lap average times, he is the highest SHR car on the list, following Mr. Austin Cindric somehow, and Ryan Blaney, which Austin Cindric way back yonder. Same kind of situation I've been telling you about with Kyle Busch. But it seems like Penske came to play. So they have some good cars. But Kevin Harvick, top SHR dog on the lap averages, starting P8 behind teammate Mr. Chase Briscoe. And yeah, that's it. Ryan Preece is behind him. For some reason, I thought Preece was ahead of Harvick for a minute, but he's not. I can't let it slip. 20-1 on Fanduel. Best odds I found. Best odds I saw. I want to say he's 20-1 on DraftKings as well, and he is. So DK or Fanduel has Harvick at 20-1. I'm locking it in for an outright. I'm doing 0.6 units to win 12 units. I think that this is a more of a tribute bet, but also, K-Harv can rock and roll. K-Harv can rock and roll at Martinsville. We talked about it on Wednesday, me and Kenny Wallace on the pod. It was another one of the great conversations that we had. It was if you haven't listened to it, you need to go listen to it. It's a great time. But Kevin Harvick is really just a dog. He's a dog everywhere. Why wouldn't he be a dog at Martinsville? Now, look, it's been rough. I'm going to share this screen so that we can look at his finishes over time at Martinsville. However, even though this might not be the greatest data you've ever seen in your life, let's be honest, he also wasn't in a retirement year when all this happened. So I'm going to zoom this in a bit. So April 16th, 2023, starts 7th, finishes 20th. Meh. Starts 8th, which is where he is starting tomorrow or today on Sunday when you're listening to this. He finished 16th last year in this car, starting 8th. So he got the same starting spot, and he finished 16th, okay? And then spring, started 6th, finished 14th. He always qualifies well. Things just haven't shook out on pit road. The stops haven't been there, this or that, whatever. Again, 2 races left to go in his career. Maybe you're not a Kevin Harvick fan. I'm not a diehard Kevin Harvick fan, but I will say this much. Magic happens, and I don't want to believe that Kevin Harvick goes out without a dub. He's good at Phoenix. We know that much. I was going to hold off and bet on him next week as the winner, and I'm still going to do that. So you're getting a future bet right now for Phoenix. I'm going to bet on Kevin Harvick to win at Phoenix. But now I'm decided I'm going to add him to Martinsville as well. So, again, more of a tribute bet, but if you really look at everything that we have, if this race is kind of boring and it just stays stacked out, Rodney Childers has been known to talk to God at times. I feel like in your last days, that's when you talk to God the most. You know, if you want to look at Kevin Harvick's 2023 season as a life, it's coming to an end. Okay, he's getting ready to push past. He's not coming back again. He's not going to wake up in 2024 and hit the Daytona 5. All right, he's not doing that. You got 2 chances left to do it. Why not? Now, if you want to go piddle around and find prop bets and all that stuff, have at it. I'm just going to do the outright, and that's where I'm going to leave it at. So that's 3 bets that I've given you right there. We've kind of explored some of the books. We've looked around. If you have any questions whatsoever on race day when it comes to making bets, you know where to find me, at Garage Guy Chase, on X, on Instagram, on Threads, on Facebook. Hit me up, Chase Holden. It's not hard to find. I don't check Facebook often, though. So if you hit me up on Facebook, you might not hear from me for like 4 months. So just be warned. I've had some people get a little testy at me. Why don't you ever respond to my messages? Because I don't have Messenger on my phone. I don't do that. I don't want Zuckerberg listening to my words. You know, I would rather, a Bezos or an Elon listen to my words, because that makes total sense, right? Total sense. I don't know. I'm just not a big Facebook guy. I guess I've just grown that way. But it's besides the point. At Garage Guy Chase, okay? That's where you find me, at Garage Guy Chase. I will probably be doing a DFS space on Twitter tomorrow before the race. Now, I know looking at the race for tomorrow, just to take a quick look at the schedule of when this race starts, this is a terrible time. I mean, I've been at the haunted car wash. It ate my brain out. I couldn't even remember. I can't even tell you right now what time the race starts tomorrow. 2 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so 2 p.m. Eastern time is when the race will kick off. So realistically, I think 12 p.m. Eastern time is when you can expect for me to do a DFS space on X. So if you follow me on X, a.k.a. Twitter, a.k.a. Elon's app, if you follow me there, join the space. We'll go ahead and just set that in stone. Let's say 12:15 Eastern time. 12:15 Eastern time on X, DFS space. If you're playing DFS, you like to make lineups, come join us. We'll talk about some drivers I like in my lineups. We'll talk about a core 4. I'll even give you some lineups. And, of course, you can always join the Garage Guys Discord. It's free. Literally the most freest thing you've ever gotten in your life. It's free money. I give you free money because I care, okay? All I ask in return is for you to bet on NASCAR and tell more people to bet on NASCAR. And then tell all of your friends that shit on NASCAR, that NASCAR is better than their sport. And just continue it. Don't give any reasoning. Just go to town because NASCAR's king. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're building. The Discord is free. Go find a link. They're on the internet. You can Google it. or you can just ask me on X. Finally, playback.tv/garage guys. I've been streaming some of the races on Sundays. Playback has now officially partnered with the National Basketball Association, the NBA. So they are an exclusive NBA sports streaming app now. They had some verbiage in their deal where they were going to need to seek partnership with major sporting organizations before streaming other forms of sports. So no more TV provider login here. We're going to have some NBA games on through the off season. As soon as the off season starts, we'll be kicking that up. We'll have some different special guests coming in, but you can still catch the Garage Guys report. It's going to be on playback.tv/garage guys. And I will be looking to get that uploaded onto the new Garage Guys YouTube at Garage Guys Racing Network. So there's my plugs. And all I can say to you at this point now is I've given you 3 bets that I like. You know where to follow me on Action Network. We've sifted through the data. I hope to see you in the space. I hope you chime in, you talk, you ask questions in the Discord. And most of all, most importantly, I hope you win a shit ton of money today because it's the Xfinity 500, it's Martinsville, it's the paperclip, it's hot dog season one last time in 2023. Let's get up, Garage fam. Let's get that money to the sports books. Let's take them down, and let's head into Phoenix with our wallets a little bit fatter. This has been the Garage Guys NASCAR post-qualifying and practice betting report. And I will see you all very soon. Subscribe. Love you. Goodbye.